Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named Maevuim titled Insane. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on YouTube. We're going to be listening through it from start to finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Kind of dope sound design off the bat with the Foley and the vocal. Things go between the sides.
Let's get into it. Cause you stop rolling in a deep. Saw your prey was out there, thought your prey was gonna be weak. Ain't nobody want you, so you had to come to me. Better be quick to listen and you better be slow to speak. Step two, you got it, and I know you're not really about it. All about it, and I don't wanna talk about it. You wanna scream and shout, you wildin'. Are you calling for a challenge? Cause I tell you what I'm doing tonight.
I mean, like, I dig the vocal modulation on the singing there. It's it works stylistically. The combination of the guitars, bass, drums is nice as well.
Could it be a, could it be a, could it be us? Driving me, you driving me, you driving me insane. Baby, cause I got you. Want you, tell me what I'm gonna do. All I really wanted was you. Could it be a, could it be a, could it be us? Driving me, you driving me, you driving me insane. Baby, cause I got you, where I want you. Tell me what I'm gonna do. All I really wanted was you tonight. Tell nobody,
okay.
Keep it secret, tell nobody. All I really wanted was your body. I really want to tell nobody tonight.
I'll bring it down nice.
Pass, I gotta pull it up. Smoke, gotta smoke you up. Eye for an eye, are you showing up? Are you showing up? Are you showing up? Past 5 o'clock, where you pulling up? On 3 times, are you out of luck? Say 25, are you growing up? Are you growing up? Could it be a, could it be a, could it be us? Driving me, you driving me, you driving me insane. Baby, cause I got you, where I want you. Tell me what I'm gonna do. All I really wanted was you. Could it be, could it be, could it be us? Driving me, you driving me, you driving me insane. Baby, cause I got you, where I want you. Tell me what I'm gonna do. All I really wanted was you tonight. Tell nobody, I can keep a secret. Tell nobody.
Nice use of the extra vocal layer around the sides. It's kind of dope.
Tell nobody tonight. I can keep a secret. All I really wanted was your body. Tell nobody, tell nobody.
It's nice to have the theme to carry us out as well. I mean, it's definitely a song, and I mean that in a nice way. I don't mean that in like a facetious way. I will talk about it more in the conclusion, but at this point I think it covers the fundamentals pretty well. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Maevuim titled Insane. Now, what do I think this track is about after listening to it? I think after listening to it, this track is about someone who has had someone else drive them insane. Just maybe the games have been playing, their give and take, the push and pull, etc. There's like an investigation going on in the video, so I assume it's trying to pick up the pieces of what's being done here, trying to sort of figure out where we're at. She just wanted them really, really bad, and she didn't necessarily need to tell anybody about it. But yeah, so basically it's like an attraction, and it's they're not happy, and it's basically screwed with their head. The vocal style that goes alongside the storytelling is solid. I think that we had a lot of different vocal melodies in there that worked respectively with the backing that we had and what we were trying to communicate. We understood the concept of having like a catchy hook, so it was really cool how we went to the chest voice up to the head with solid vocal technique there. I almost don't know if we necessarily needed like the vocal modulation we had, because I think we actually had some really cool vocal runs there. It might have been nice just to have heard Maevuim without the tuning on there, just because I could hear a little bit of sort of like fluttering occasionally. Not because that's an issue, but because it's kind of nice to hear a bit of both. It can be good to have like some parts where there are and some parts where there aren't auto-tune, you know. But like either way, it's sick, and I understand stylistically it makes sense for music within this genre. The lo-fi aesthetic, the kind of very explorative within her vocal range, and I think there were some nice harmonies as well, alongside some sort of sub-layer stuff going around the sides. And I'm not sure if the early kind of vocal chops going from left to right of stereo field were also Maevuim's as well, but either way, it's well done. So I think that emotively we had a phrasing where we just sounded like we were kind of done with the actions of the person we were discussing. I think if we'd gone too far into the actually being insane angle, it would have become a caricature. So I'm glad that we were a little bit more sort of composed about it, that a juxtaposition is welcome. The track at like 3 minutes 21 is a solid length. You have verses and you have choruses and you have little instrumental accompaniment bits and like maybe leaving an interlude there, but I think it's predominantly like verse, chorus kind of situation there. No, we had bridges as well. No, so we did have like verse, bridge, chorus there. So never mind, excuse that, which I appreciate. I like when we have 3 different concepts within a track with variation with the interpretations of how the guitars, the synths, the keys, the bass, and the drums are put in there, as well as the different vocal styles there. So good work, genuinely. With the structure out of the way and the understanding that the transitions are fairly smooth, I just want to talk about a few of the individual instruments. So I think again with the lo-fi aesthetic, the clean guitars, the occasional picking of notes there, we didn't really focus on strumming. It was more like extended arpeggios, and they added a sense of moodiness and emotional complexity there that was very welcome with what we were discussing. The bass line was really thick and full and mirrored the root notes really well and wasn't too sort of out of there, but you know, it wasn't too crazy, but I think that's kind of what we needed, is to be sort of safer and more conservative on that front. The drums with like the kind of the sort of trappish intonations of like the highest drums were sort of the trappish intonations of like the hi-hats and, you know, kicks and like claps or something like that. I think they were claps, not snares. Were solid. We had slight variations of those, and sometimes the drums went away and then they came back, and I think that allowed for a perceived change in dynamic range, which was very, very welcome, because if you have the song the same loudness the whole time, it becomes a bit dull. The keys or synths that we had there had a nice sort of coloration and focus in the mid to high ranges. Maevuim's voice was quite present in the mid to highs there, so I think we were trying to make sure we didn't sort of compete too much by having those panned to the sides, which was great to surround the listener in the headphones. And they added further sense of harmonic fullness to it by fleshing out the triads and chords that we had in the progressions, whilst not overcomplicating it. There were no lead sections, which I think is fine, because the focal point in this was the vocals. I think that it was short enough, being in that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot. We didn't necessarily need an alternate lead section to foil off of. The theme itself sounded kind of sad and kind of unhappy and a little bit sort of like a little bit depressed. Like we were unhappy about the situation we were in. It was very solemn. There was a little bit of edginess, but like very, very, very slight. I think the added bit of vocal modulation the entire time added a sense of like, made it sound a little bit more contemporary, even though I think that it was more, I'm not sure how to sort of describe it. I think the theme was appropriate for what it is. Again, it focuses more on like the overall negative impact of the experience that has Maevuim's experienced, rather than necessarily how it's made her insane, but I still think it's nonetheless a great sounding theme and it works well. The studio recording, mixing and mastering is solid. I'm really happy with how things were leveled, with the vocals being nice and present. I don't know if I would have preferred a little bit more sort of low end, like an extra 10 kilohertz on the filter, a little bit 10 lower, but aside from that, just to add a little bit more kind of like a little bit more oomph to the vocals, but like not too much, of course, because if they make that now compete with other elements of the mix. And I assume that maybe we were trying to sort of niche the vocals at a point where they would sit nicely. The synths, guitar, bass and drums were really elegant and nicely positioned in the frequency spectrum as well as the stereo field. We did have variety with the panning of parts and how they were sort of like moved around the stereo field as well. It wasn't the same position, especially like in the end part, like the extra vocal takes. I thought it was cool how you could kind of search around with those. It's another way of avoiding a lead melody is to use what you've got existing, add on to it further, and just add a little bit of sort of sass or zazz to it, just kind of make it sparkle and shine. There was a perceived dynamic range there, things weren't the same loudness all the time, and as I mentioned before, it's really important to have that distinction between the two there, so it has a bit of life to it, a bit of room to breathe, but it was still nonetheless nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression limiting was handled. And that's effectively my review of this track from an act named Maevuim, titled Insane, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and YouTube page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either how more than ever thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.